Hi, this is Stephanie Miller from The Stephanie Miller Show. Please enjoy this exclusive clip from my show on Political Voices Network.
You have to tell Kamala Harris that you've had enough, that you just can't take it anymore. We can't stand you. You're a shit vice president.
Yeah. Don't you feel like we've all just become so numb to the law breaking on Trump's side that you're just like, is that legal? And then this is what happens. There's one of Trump's impeachment lawyers said this may be illegal. Talk to us about this.
Maybe actually that should just be the name of my show or somebody else's show. It's like, is that legal?
Right.
It's like a daily segment we have to do every day. It's just like, is he? And we have this new rule apparently in America though that I was unaware of. I don't remember this passing Congress, that if you're in the home stretch for an election, you just get to continue to break the law as much as you want, and no one investigates you, no one prosecutes you, no one indicts you.
Thank you.
Like nobody. Nobody. Where is anybody on this? So I'm still looking into this. So I'm actually gonna refer. I'm gonna cite here a non-lawyer, Mark Cuban, who then did point out, and I need to look into this more deeply today. It's on my list of things to do. Is that put aside the question of whether that Elon Musk stunt might break election law. What it looks like it breaks Pennsylvania gaming law because it's a drawing and it isn't registered, it isn't licensed.
Yeah.
It's a lottery.
Yeah.
So it could be breaking that law too. But yeah, I mean, and then we can talk about the Logan Act nonsense.
Let's get to that.
There's a lot. There's a lot.
What the CNN analyst said, I'm not saying Elon Musk is going to be locked up or put on trial anytime soon. What I'm saying is some respected scholars who study election law for a living saw what Musk did and immediately raised legal objections. The experts we spoke to said federal law makes it a crime to pay people to register to vote. I mean, I don't think it's just the immunity decision. It's what you just said. Like, we were just doing a story about how, this time some Republican officials, up to and including Mike Johnson, could help Trump. But it's because they weren't prosecuted the last time. Right. The fake electors and whatever. I mean, only the boots, not the suits, right?
Right. That's right. Yeah, I mean, that's been part of the problem, too, is that where I had been anticipating, and I think a lot of people were, that when the immunity decision came down back in July, I thought it was going to be an opportunity when DOJ needed to do the superseding indictment. There was a golden opportunity there to say, okay, now we're also going to indict these other 15 people the way that Georgia did.
Yeah.
That they didn't do that. In my view, the idea that you were only going to indict Trump made sense if you were going for speed, because indicting a whole bunch of other people was going to make the case more complicated and take longer to do. If that got thrown out the window because you were maybe only going to get to try him next year, then why not go and indict all of the other people that were clearly co-conspirators of this? Yeah. I still don't know why they haven't done that.
Thank you. Let me ask you, there's another piece. Experts hope this law could save America from Trump election chaos. The forgotten piece of legislation, one of many bipartisan reforms passed by Congress under Biden, was designed specifically to prevent the kind of scheme Trump attempted, in which the vice president could use sets of alternate electors that the Trump claim just declared, blah, blah, blah. There are still some potential legal hurdles that could cause the Supreme Court to step into an electoral dispute. But ultimately, this analyst writes, the process is harder to interfere than last time. I mean, we have to take some solace that it's the Biden administration in charge right now, right?
Right.
But, it really does terrify you that Mike Johnson or the Supreme Court could get their grubby hands on this election, doesn't it?
Oh, I mean, absolutely. Because, it could go to the House. Right. If we don't have an electoral college winner, then the election goes to the House, which has happened in American history, but not for 150 years. And that should be terrifying. Now, the good news there is that the House that would make that decision is the newly elected House that will take office January 2nd. So we still have the power as voters to say, if we get a Democratic House in there, that will, and by the way, then it becomes a weird thing where it's by state.
Yeah.
So we have to worry about the state by state delegations, not just do we win Wisconsin at the presidential level, but can we actually make sure that Wisconsin has a majority of Democratic House members going in 2025?
Yeah.
But we still have the power to affect that.
Yeah. Well, this is why I'm wearing my Vote Blue T-shirt today in honor of that, and of course your eyes. Anyway, squeak. But you know, the Fox News decision chief predicted that because of the way the vote is counted, it's counted in several swing states, including Pennsylvania, it may take as many as 5 days for a winner to be decided. He said, "I'd say the over/under is Saturday," which was when the call was made last time, which was when Pennsylvania is likely to come in. Team Trump won't be thrilled with his assessment of the 2024 race, as he said he believes Trump may be declining. Yeah, no kidding. But you know what infuriates me, Tristen, is this is by not just design, by Republican design, that they don't count the early votes, so that they can
100%.
say, "Oh, there's chaos and confusion and there's cheating going on. You got to stop the counting now." You know, I mean,
they create the chaos and then they use the chaos as an excuse for stopping the count.
Right.
And then the thing is that what their plan this time really looks like is that it really looks like they're preparing to lose.
Yeah.
But what they're trying to just make sure is that no winner is declared.
Right.
Yeah.
If they can't beat Harris, they just want to make sure that Harris is not actually declared the winner.
This has been my bugaboo. This has been my bugaboo forever, Tristen. For everyone's sake, in a bipartisan way, they should count the votes as soon as they come in, so that everybody knows sooner. Count whatever votes come in first. Count them.
Tons of people have voted in Pennsylvania already.
Right.
And they haven't counted a single one of those votes because of Republican legislators in Pennsylvania. Weirdly, Florida is counting the ballots as they come in. So we're going to get a result from Florida probably on election night or maybe the next morning. Now, why? Because because Florida got so scarred after 2000, Florida actually did some things that were a little bit not crazy because they wanted to avoid a repeat of the debacle in 2000.
Yeah.
The Pennsylvania is all messed up because of Republicans there. But we're going to know more about Florida and Wisconsin and Michigan than we are about Pennsylvania.
Which, by the way, if you want to have a, recurring PTSD nightmare, they were successful in 2000 at stopping the counting and having the Supreme Court intervene and appoint George Bush, when every study showed if they had finished the counting, Al Gore would have won. So
that's right.
Yeah.
That's right.
Yeah, so they've practiced at this. So on this show, which is now named Tristen Snell's Tweets, but you're right, we're so numb. Just the ongoing crimes, everyone goes, "Oh, well, he won't get prosecuted for that." But you said Israeli media reports Netanyahu blocked every ceasefire deal and is continuing to do so. Why? Because he's made a secret deal with Trump to keep the war going to help Trump get elected per PBS. This is not just a scandal, it's a federal felony. You also said Trump's director of national intelligence, Dan Coats, believes Putin has compromised on Trump and uses it to blackmail him. Coats is a conservative Republican, former senator from Indiana. If even serious GOP officials believe this, maybe the media should report on it. Or what do you call it? Trump said, "I talked to Bibi, and Bibi says I don't listen to Biden." So does the Logan Act not count anymore? Help me out here.
Well, and then we have the interesting thing. Trump last night saying that he wants America to go back to 1798.
Right.
Right. That was what he said last night. Why that year? Like, if you're setting the DeLorean to go back in time with a certain point, why are you telling Doc Brown to pick 1798? And I thought to myself, well, I wonder if some of his lawyers have been telling him about the Logan Act being passed in 1799 because it was. Why pick 1798? That's so oddly specific. It's not 1787. It's not 1776. Why 1798?
And he just was talking about.
Maybe it's a coincidence.
He was talking about what a great guy Mohammed bin Salman is, the bonesaw murderer. Just yesterday, you're like, would you be surprised that he's talking to him about jacking gas prices right before the election? I mean,
sure,
he's such a traitor.
I wouldn't be surprised at any of this stuff. He's been talking to Putin.
Yeah.
Right. We know he's been exchanging communications with Kim Jong-un, and that's not just like we make jokes about Kim Jong-un, but there are now North Korean troops that have invaded the sovereign nation of Ukraine.
Yes. Yes.
alongside Russian forces. This is not a joke. It's not a drill. Like, North Korea is actually actively putting troops in the field for the first time since the 1950s.
Yeah.
This is insane.
His lover, yeah.
Yeah.
Your fellow legal lad, Lawrence Tribe, said intelligence officials told CNN the leak of classified documents on Israel's plan to strike Iran was likely to have come from someone getting top secret briefings who had an interest in discrediting Biden-Harris. I wonder who in the world that might be. I mean, how many shoes are going to drop at some point when we find out?
I've been meaning to do this, and I'm just gonna say it now to kind of tease something that I plan on doing coming up here. And I probably won't get to do it until after the election because I think my plate is full until then. But one thing that I want to do is to do kind of like a big serious op-ed about this. But I really want to bang the drum on this, and hopefully I'll be doing it in the wake of a Harris victory and suggesting this, proposing this in November. We need a national, like, blue ribbon presidential commission into corruption and foreign interference in American politics.
Yeah.
We need it immediately.
Yeah.
And obviously Donald Trump looks like the primary sort of, like, person that's responsible for a lot of this. But at the same time, like, you look at what's happened with Senator Menendez, you look at what's happened with Mayor Adams in New York, like, there is foreign money gushing into our system right now and buying off politicians.
And we all should care on both sides of the aisle.
We all should care.
Yeah.
This is something that is a national critical problem. One of the biggest problems. Okay, you want to talk about 1798? We can go back to that. Why did we pass the Logan Act in the first place? It's because the early years of America, one of the critical problems that faced the Republic was foreign interference in the new nation's politics.
Yeah.
People on all sides were very, very worried about Britain and France finding ways to interfere in America's domestic politics, to twist them and turn them to their advantage, because Britain and France kept on fighting each other and wanted to see if they could get the U.S. to be on their side versus the other. And it was the policy of the first two administrations, Washington and Adams less so, Washington very much so, to stay out of it.
Yep.
But the idea that, like, we don't want individual private citizens getting involved in foreign policy because we don't want to invite foreign interference. We need to clean up our politics and get all of this foreign money and interference out.
Hey all, Glenn Kirshner here. I hope you'll join me on my new audio podcast, Justice Matters. I'll be using my 30 years as a federal prosecutor and Army JAG to unpack, break down, and explain the legal issues of the day, particularly where the legal intersects with the political. Please look for Justice Matters with Glenn Kirshner wherever you generally get your podcasts.